This, ladies and gentlemen, is a sponge. It's a fairly unremarkable item, but it has some remarkable properties. Do you remember as a child being fascinated to see how much water one of these could absorb? So sponge is a great metaphor for how young children learn. And I'd like you to think of this as a 10-year-old child with a mind that is curious and inquiring. And then picture this as a classroom with good quality teaching. The more we immerse a child into an environment that is rich with quality resources, the more he or she will learn. Just like a sponge, children absorb knowledge. But remember that this is a whole and healthy child, and so able to absorb everything that we make available. This child lives in a home where he has great parental support, a comfortable house, great nutrition, and goes to a good school. So he's really supported to succeed. I'd like to introduce you to a second child who's been through some pretty tough times. This child lives in an area where you can taste poverty in the air. Already missing so many pieces of his structure, you'll see that battered and damaged as he is, he's unable to absorb as much as the other sponge. We then take this child and we submerge him into an environment where there's not enough. Not enough food, not enough shelter, not enough parental support, not enough protection, ultimately not enough opportunity. What's the impact of this broken environment? Out of every 100 children who start school in this Western Cape province of South Africa, 50 of them will write their final exams. 50 will drop out, and most of those will never find a job. Of those who do go through to their final exams, perhaps 30 will pass. And 13 will achieve a university pass. So can you imagine what this child has to go through to be able to go to university or to college? I'm going to ask you why you should care about the diverse futures of these two children. There's nothing more important for our success than to educate the next generation if we're to make Africa the economic powerhouse of Africa. Our first child is supported to succeed. So the question is really, what do we do about our second child so that South Africa can deliver on all of the promise that this country has? Your success, my success, our success as a nation depends on us changing his trajectory. Our education system was developed during the first industrial revolution in the 1790s. There was a great intention behind it, and that was to give every child an education. But an underlying goal was to prepare them for a lifetime of working in a factory. Children were seated in rows. Every child, dressed in a uniform, was treated exactly the same as every other. Sound familiar? We're now approaching the fourth industrial revolution. The world has changed in ways that nobody would have imagined in 1790. Actually, it's changed in ways that we wouldn't have imagined a mere 5 years ago. And yet, organizations like the World Economic Forum speak of new competencies that we need to succeed: critical thinking, complex problem solving, creativity, and IT skills. But we continue to place children in overcrowded classrooms. We put a teacher at the front simply pouring information into kids' heads in a drive to complete the curriculum. Why do we think that this will work? Where's the scope for creativity, complex problem solving, critical thinking in this picture? I'd suggest that there's very little. It's a recipe actually for boredom and ultimately for failure. And why? We have a world of knowledge quite literally at our fingertips. All we need to do is teach children how and where to go and find it. And then there's a second reason that you should care. Our 1994 political miracle promised so much. Our progressive constitution promised so much. So for all of us, there's a call to action to make sure that every one of our children is able to achieve their potential. Our first child is supported to succeed. What are we going to do about the second one to allow us to reach that promise of a better South Africa? There's obviously a lot of work that a lot of people do every day, but it's the clear constitutional mandate of government to deliver basic education to every child. 22 years into our democracy, government has failed to fix our broken education system, failed to deliver on the promise. But I wonder if maybe that's because it can't be fixed, certainly not the current system. We talk of the silently excluded, children so lost that they fall further and further behind every year. When two children sitting in the same grade could have as much as a 4-year ability gap between them, can we possibly deliver quality learning in this environment? One child is able to absorb everything. The other is drowning in a sea of confusing concepts. So enough depressing you. The reality is that it is possible to turn this around. We can bring lessons to life, to ignite and inspire. It is possible to respond to every individual child's learning needs. This vision of education excites the imagination. We can bring our children into all of the color and dance and art of other countries and let them experience it. We can let them experience the miracles of science come to life. They can travel into different countries and history that we would never have imagined. It is possible for us to lift children from dusty township streets, remove them from the clutches of criminals, lift the worries of poverty and hunger, and give hope. This depends on two things. Firstly, we all know that so-called disruptive technology is changing our whole world, from Uber to driverless cars to 3D printers that can produce a steak. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'd want to eat one of those, but anyway. In 2015, the eLearning market was worth $166 billion US. By 2017, that will have grown to $255 billion. Why? Well, e-learning is cheaper. It's always online. It's possible to access the very best regardless of circumstances. So this online learning revolution is democratizing and enabling education. I have 3 grandchildren. Even the youngest, at age 2, is able to navigate an iPhone or tablet with ease. In fact, to him, a magazine is nothing more than a broken iPad. So young people are instinctive users of technology, and we would be foolish not to exploit that. But if we want to fix our broken education system, we need a government that is prepared to listen and that delivers fast. So for any of you who've dealt with bureaucrats in the past, you'll know that that can be quite a big ask. We're looking at bringing together 2 systems: a new way of government that changes how the structure operates, and a technology that moves classrooms from the 1st to the 4th industrial revolution. And that's the way that we are looking to turn the future around for our not enough child. In 2015, the Premier of the Western Cape, Helen Zille, identified 7 priority projects with the potential to improve the lives of our residents. To be sure that we would deliver on the bold goals of these game changers, she also set up a system that would change the way that government works. She established a small delivery unit with a clear mandate to deliver fast and to make sure that we met very clear goals of all of the game changers. This work was modeled on the work of Sir Michael Barber in the UK in 2001. And the game changer, or the delivery unit, basically focuses only on the game changers that the Premier identified in 2015. Premier Zille speaks of the biggest challenge in education being what we can do about the millions of learners left behind. One of her 7 game changers will introduce e-learning into our 1,500 schools, touching 1 million learners and supporting 38,000 teachers, transforming the way that they teach by the end of her term of office in 2019. These are pretty bold goals, and we're looking at transforming an entire education system over a period of just 3 years. What governments tend to do is to go in and drop technology into school, to step back, and to wait for some miraculous change. This doesn't begin to transform educational outcomes. We've taken through the game changer a much more holistic approach. We know what the problems are. Too few teachers, overcrowded classrooms, unequal resources. We've identified e-learning as a critical part of the solution. We have a clear project plan with absolutely clear goals. And you can imagine that a report back every 6 weeks to a premier who is passionate about education certainly keeps everyone on their toes. I'm very proud to be associated with this game changer, to be able to work on this project, and I'm really excited to share with you today some of the incredible work that we're doing to achieve our aims. We're changing the culture in our schools. Our teachers are excited and enthusiastic. Hundreds of them now give up their Friday nights, weekends, and holidays to go and learn, to change the way that they teach. In 2013, President Barack Obama said, "In a country where we expect free Wi-Fi with our coffee, why shouldn't we have it in our schools?" We can be very proud that here in 2016, in this province, we're delivering free Wi-Fi, free broadband to all of our schools. We're also installing local area networks so we can connect instruction rooms to the wonders of the internet. We're making sure that every school has a functional IT lab so that children can improve their maths and literacy skills through online learning. We're delivering technology-enabled classrooms. Already, almost 6,000 classrooms have been equipped so that learning can come to life through vibrant audio resources. Our e-portal, and I'd really welcome all of you going to visit it, is jam-packed with inspiration. Every one of our teachers and every one of our learners is able to access these resources at no cost to themselves. So we're beginning to equalize the resources available to our schools. Our teachers are all placed on a personal development path so that we can support them to be comfortable with a completely different classroom layout, comfortable integrating this technology into their work. And then finally, we're implementing online administration systems so that we can free up our teachers to do what we need them to do and what they do best, teach our children. 1,500 schools, 1 million learners, 38,000 teachers, 3 years. It is possible to change the way that government works, to accelerate delivery against bold targets. We're challenging the bureaucracy to innovate, to be open to change. This idea starts to deliver equality, in the quality of education for our learners. Every one of our children will be able to access the same quality resources. This idea starts to place the learner at the center of the system, not at the mercy of the system. As this vision becomes a reality, we open up opportunities and a lifelong love of learning for our not enough child. He will be more likely to finish school, to access further education, to get a job, to escape a future of poverty and hopelessness, and build our economy. As this vision becomes a reality, we uphold the ideals of dignity and equality that our Constitution promises. As this vision transforms our education department, our under-resourced learner, our 10-year-old child, with a mind that is curious and inquiring, will be able to access all the richness of an education brought to life. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not just delivering e-learning. We're delivering opportunities. We're working so that every child can have enough, so that every child can dream, so that every child can reach their potential. Thank you very much.